The Eternal Series Radio presents The Nephelium by author Nathan Parks. Copyright 2013. Read by author Nathan Parks. Chapter 5. As the door of the apartment building elevator closed, leaving the hallway free of all intruders, a musty, acidic smell began to permeate the air, and a dark figure formed and took shape. He stood for a brief moment, ensuring the area was clear, and then slipped into the apartment. He walked up behind the young lady. An evil twinkle danced within his eyes. He loved the rogue game. True, he was an outcast, but it had its benefits. There was no one to whom he really had to answer, and so many with whom he had to fight. So what's going on here? Could it be that I have stumbled onto something tonight? Who are you, Eve? He whispered to himself as he sniffed her hair. Why did I sense something in you tonight? Could my informant be telling the truth? So what is a blind man doing sitting in a church at midnight? It isn't like you've seen anything from which you need to escape. A big smile broke across Troy's dark face, and he raised a finger to his right temple and tapped his shaved head. Ah, but what one can see may not be what they really need to see, and what can't be seen may be what truly is important. Then why do we have such elaborate cathedrals with stained glass and marble statues, if that's true? Countered Troy's friend. Well, could it be that physical blindness does not outweigh the danger of spiritual blindness? You got me there, brother. Troy felt a strong hand upon his shoulder as he turned his head in the direction of the voice of his friend. Isaiah, dressed in simplistic black trousers and shirt with a small square of white revealed at the neck, pushed past his friend, sat down beside him on the antique bench, and looked up at the stone pillars and into the rafters. Can I ask? You always do. There's 7 tonight, Troy responded. 7. Number of completeness. Yes, and the number of deadly sins also. Are they guardians or warriors? Guardians. The night is at peace here in the cathedral. Maybe so, but the fallen know that this is safe ground. They have no right here. Which brings me back to my original question. What brings you here so late? Troy leaned forward, placing his forearms on the top of the pew in front of him and lowering his forehead down firmly between them. The small light that emanated from the candles throughout the cathedral created a shine off the dark black bald head. Scars danced an eerie pattern across his head and disappeared down somewhere beneath the collar of his shirt. I don't know, Isaiah. I guess I just need to feel the breath of innocence upon my skin tonight and inhale purity. Sometimes I wonder if ignorance isn't truly bliss. Before I knew everything I know now, I was content and happy. True, but we both were slaves. Troy, we're slaves. We were slaves to our misunderstandings and lack of knowledge. To live one's life by lies, no matter how beautiful those lies may be, is still not truly living. But, Isaiah, I could sleep at night. Could you? I mean, could you really? I remember your emails from the war about how even in the military you felt that there was something more to life and that nothing really satisfied. Yes, but take all the horrors I saw in war. None of it can match to what I see now. How I wish my blindness reached into the soul and cut out everything. I'm sickened by the pollution that is in my own backyard. and by the darkness of humanity behind the lights of expensive advertisements and the facades of the American dream. There are times I wish I had died that night. Yes, given the choice, been able to pass away. How can what I am forced to live with every day now be truly a blessing? Isaiah stretched back, placing his feet straight out in front of him, beneath a pew that Troy was leaning forward on, and with his fingers interlaced, he placed his hands behind his head. He had known Troy for almost 15 years. They both had been nothing more than street punks when they first met, and here, years later, had become so different. Yet, so much remained the same. Troy had escaped the neighborhood with a free ticket to college, thanks to promises from Uncle Sam and the U.S. Army. And Isaiah, he had heard the voice of a higher calling and had given his rebellious ways over for a life in the ministry, trying to change his neighborhood one life at a time. Isaiah had lost his wife and daughter to the streets. He heard the shots that night right outside the church doors, and every night since in his dreams. It left him with memories that time still had not erased. Memories of his daughter, looking up into his eyes as life seemed to silently melt away from her, all the while telling him that the angels were standing behind him, that they were taking her to see Mommy, and that he was not to worry. She slipped away so peacefully, an angel passing in the stomach of darkness and poverty. The investigation would reveal later that they had been killed by crossfire by 2 gang members, and Leah informed him that the 2 gang members were familiars trying to earn the respect of their masters. Hell was real, and that night it had touched his family. He had nothing left in him to fight, to stand up against the fallen and their continual growth on his turf. That night, he had walked into the cathedral and with all his strength had thrown his Bible toward the large cross that hung down from the ceiling above the platform. His words of anger and confusion echoed throughout the stone structure. I gave you everything, God. Everything. I gave up my chances to leave this neighborhood and live somewhere safe. I gave up my life, my dreams, even my safety when I joined the Alliance. For what? Take me now. If you're so bad, just take me now. You challenge the very one who's given you all? Leah's voice had come out of the invisible nothingness as she manifested herself to the right of him that night and walked over and picked up his Bible. Isaiah had had no idea she was there. You say you gave him everything, Leah continued, but yet you get angry over his taking what you say you gave to him? Those words hit home as she handed him the open Bible and walked away without another word. He had watched her leave that night, his anger still smoldering inside, and as he looked down at where she had opened the Bible, he read the words that seemed to jump from the pages at him. Then God said, Have you considered my servant Job? Job, a man who had lost everything because of the torment from the morning star, but out of his faithfulness to Jah had received it back, and even more. Yes, to question Jah was human, but it was beyond mortal strength to keep faith when his will was beyond human comprehension. Yes, so much he had gone through had brought him to the person he was today, and since then he had gained a renewed passion for his work with the Alliance and taking down the fallen. Troy, take what you feel and place it within you. Don't allow it to turn into anger that the fallen can use to draw you away and into the clan. But instead, use it to remind you each day that if it wasn't for the work of Jah, you'd be trapped in that depravity. Isaiah, the day I stepped on that explosive device there in Baghdad, I don't know why an angel came to me. I don't know why Jah gave me another chance. But what I do know is that I don't want to waste it, Troy responded. I don't want to waste the gift of spiritual sight that I was given. I know there's a reason, but it still can't heal the pain inside. Do you know what it's like to not be able to see the physical, but everywhere I look, I can see the supernatural? I hear the beautiful voice of a lady that some described to me as being an angel. Yet through my spiritual sight, I can see the possessor that is inside of her. Where others see an angel, I see a demon. Yeah, I'm sorry, brother. But as you stated, there's a reason. We may not be able to fully understand the bigger picture, but each choice we make, it's a brushstroke upon the masterpiece of our life as a whole. Yes. The men sat inside the cathedral, both seeing different pictures of their surroundings. Isaiah seeing the physical beauty of the stone, candles, and the stained glass. Troy seeing the 7 guardians that stood as noble, invisible protectors of the building and those who found solace within. The last wisps of smoke had sputtered out of the smoke machine, so hidden as to not take away from the effects of the club's decor. The floors had been mopped and cleaned. The vortex was almost ready for another night of devilish frolicking when they would reopen the following night. The money had been counted and sealed for deposits, and all the barmaids and the dancers had been tipped and sent out into the night. Arioch leaned against the dark metal banister that overlooked the club from his balcony. His jacket was off and his shirt half unbuttoned. He was sipping on a glass of water now as he picked at his teeth, pulling out a dark hair from Sedet's demise and hardly giving it a second thought. Drake. When we found you pimping your runaways, we knew that you were an entrepreneur, and we could see that you could rise to be part of something bigger one day. We've promised you power beyond your imagination, a chance to be a witness to the real world that lies beyond what most small, miserable humans know exist. Drake sat still shaking from all the happenings of the night, but holding a large ice pack to the wound on his head from where he had fallen onto the table. He silently was cursing the day he had scoffed at the Sunday school teacher who had tried to get him to come to her church. Yes, sir, Mr. Arioch. I still appreciate what you and the clan have done for me. And I know there are still a lot of things I need to learn. I really look forward to the day that I can gain the immortality that you talk about. Arioch's back was turned to Drake, but he could still sense the fear. He could smell it. He hated the stench of human fear. What is there to fear if you truly side yourself with the powerful? What was Jah thinking when he created such weak creatures that would shake at the smallest speck of power? He should have stopped with us, angels, he thought to himself. At least we can make things interesting. Arioch turned and leaned his back against the railing and crossed his legs at the ankles, and placing his elbows upon the banister, he looked around his office. Oh, of all the places he had over the centuries, this was really one of the smaller throne rooms. He knew that Adremelech was testing him for a few of his mistakes, but he knew that he would rise back to the top of the clan power. If not, well, he still had a few ideas up his sleeve.